seventh straight session this morning after officials reported the lowest daily increase in coronavirus infection cases in nearly 2 weeks, calming investor nerves over the epidemic's economic impact. Across mainland China, there were 2,015 new confirmed cases on Tuesday. That's the lowest since January the 30th, when there were 1,982 new confirmed cases, lending credence to a prediction from the country's senior medical advisor that the outbreak could be over by April. At the close, Japan's Nikkei index closed up 0.7% to 23,861 points, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng is also up, closing at 27,809 points, up 0.8%. The Shanghai Composite Index was up 0.9% at 2,926 points. In the United States, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq inched to their second consecutive record closing highs last night after Chinese officials said the deadly coronavirus epidemic could be contained by April. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.62% to 29,276, while the S&P 500 gained 0.2% to close out at 3,357 points. The Nasdaq Composite added 0.1% to 9,638 points. Let's get some more on the markets. Arabile Gumede is standing by. We're hearing that both the Chinese and the American markets are up. Are we getting the same thing here?
We are certainly, Nzinga. It's up more than 1% today, so a nice little rebound there as well in the local exchange that has been happening for a little bit of time as well. Perhaps we're getting a sense of a recovery maybe as things seem to be perhaps gathering pace when it comes to the recovery mode on the Chinese coronavirus that has, of course, been hitting the markets as well as most of the globe also at a time like this. That has, of course, been the main headlines and the main news piece, so that has occupied a lot of investors' thoughts and minds, and it seems that a little bit more containment is in play right now, so perhaps a little bit more positivity. We did see a lot of investors perhaps look to bow out at some stage in the market for just a little bit, considering the bull run we had seen in global markets, not necessarily locally, of course, but hopefully we'll get a sense of that as the year progresses. On the local front, a whole host of equity news has certainly been at the fore, so we'll unpack a lot of that in just a moment or two, with the local currency still sitting pretty much flat as well. Let's check in on those numbers and see exactly where things are sitting, and we'll unpack the details right after this. Quite ironic to see the gold counters sitting a little bit lower when you consider the fact, of course, that Anglo Gold Ashanti has decided to bow out of South Africa. 4.4 billion rand worth of assets now sold off to Harmony. Let's chat now to Michael Traherne from Vestact Asset Management as we unpack this and other news. Michael, thank you so much for the time. That certainly will occupy a lot of investors' thoughts and minds. I guess it has been coming, but how important a deal is that for what we're considering the sunset industry in South Africa?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're a Harmony shareholder, Harmony share price up today, and it shows that investors think that they got a good price for these assets from Anglo Gold.
Yeah.
From Anglo Gold's perspective, they've already announced that they want to sell their South African assets. They were looking to leave. They feel that there's better returns in the gold mining industry elsewhere. It's also worth noting that the mines that they were selling were reaching a point where to continue or expand the life of mine, there was going to be a big capital raise needed, or capital needed to expand that mine. And they got to a point that said either we need to put money in to expand life of mine, or we need to sell these and move on. And they've gone for the latter, obviously selling it to Harmony. Quite an interesting deal structure. Harmony paying 200 million for the assets, and then paying Anglo Gold, I think over a 5-year period, a percentage of what they make out of those gold mines. So yeah, Harmony doesn't have to put up too much money up front. They get the assets for less than the book value, so it looks pretty good from a Harmony perspective.
Yeah. What about the long-term gain from it, though? I mean, are there still sufficient sort of gold reserves or assets within the mines, such as in Mponeng, of course, that can perhaps help Harmony sort of, move along, having perhaps suffered ever so slightly in recent times?
Yes, what's the shaft? I think it's 4 kilometers down or something scary. It's very, very deep, and obviously that comes with its own challenges. But if Harmony put the capital into the mine that's required, analysts forecast they can get another 20 years out of that mine at least. So that's good runway. One of the issue when you get that deep is you need a stable power supply.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you've got power supply issues, one, your air conditioning might not work as well, and down there it's very, very hot. And of a bigger worry is do your lifts work to get people in and out of the mine? So challenges when you're working in that low down, and that's part of the reason that it looks like Anglo is looking to sell. They're saying, look guys, we can get better returns elsewhere, and in South Africa it's just a bit tricky at the moment. We'd rather focus somewhere else.
Yeah, but crushing though for an economy like ours, having seen Anglo being part of South Africa for so long. Anglo Gold, that is, of course, before they were part of the entire Anglo-American stable, sold out with Ashanti and created a company we still thought was, willing to still be in the local economy. Does that really hurt the investment case for South Africa, you reckon, a little bit more?
Yeah, it's never a good picture when a company that's been here for a long time says, look guys, it's easier doing business elsewhere, we'd rather do business there. And it's a reminder that we live in this global village. We're not competing against each other for business here, we're competing against other nations for business. So if you're not business friendly, businesses are going to say, but there's other countries who want our business more, and we've only got so much money to spend. And that's the case in Anglo. They're saying we've only got so much money to spend. Do we want to invest it in South Africa, or do we want to invest it elsewhere? And they're saying the returns are higher elsewhere, so we'll take it elsewhere.
Yeah. Another company then sort of leaving the board as well, Pioneer Foods, PepsiCo getting the go-ahead from the Competition Commission. A significant enough deal there as well.
Yeah, look, if you're a shareholder of Pioneer, you've got a nice big juicy payment coming your way. What is the premium there? I think they're paying a 56% premium on what the share price was. So that's always nice for local investors. Why
would they pay so much though for a company that seems to be struggling?
Yeah, it looks undervalued. It's obviously from Pioneer's or from Pepsi's perspective, they feel a bit of capital injection to help stabilize the ship there. Maybe a shake-up at management, I'm sure will happen. And then integrating the Pioneer to the brands with the Pepsi brands they currently have through Simba. And the feeling there is that you can get synergies, you can get distribution synergies. They're both in the food space, both delivering to big retail outlets. And if you can reduce the number of trucks on the road to get the same amount of produce, there's obviously extra money made there. And Pepsi's looking at the Pioneer brand stable and saying those are very, very strong brands. Yes, they might be struggling now, but if we look long term, if South Africa turns the corner, those brands are going to be dominating the food industry.
Could we say perhaps, and maybe I'm just speaking really out of turn here, but do you get a sense that South African stocks, South African Inc. stocks in particular, are perhaps ripe for purchase? And what I mean by purchase is not just their share price, but really for takeovers as we're seeing now.
Yeah, particularly the smaller stocks. You've already seen towards the end of last year a number of stocks announcing that they're delisting. I think there was Metrofile, there was Interwaste, there's a few others on the cards that are looking to delist, and they're just investors saying, but look how cheap they are, we can pay a 10% premium or 20% premium to where the share price is, we can delist it and we don't even have to spend all that much money. So it shows the lack of confidence in the local economy. South Africans by nature are optimistic, but the South African or the JSE all shares gone nowhere since 2015, and that sort of gets to you, starts eroding, and South Africans are now saying, look, if I've got the choice between investing in South Africa and investing offshore, I'd rather invest offshore, and that then obviously has a direct impact on South African share prices. Yeah,
so that must be an important signal then to the State of the Nation address happening tomorrow as well. Then what would you perhaps like to hear from a market perspective, from an economy perspective as well, to perhaps aid up the investments hopefully into the nation?
Yeah, I think we've gotten past the point of talking. This is third now, or this is third, hey? Yeah. So it's been 2 years of very good speeches, lots of good promises, but now we want to see action, and I think that's where the market's at, is saying, look guys, we need action, we need certainty. So obviously the land issue is still a bit of a sensitive one that needs to be put to bed, regardless of where that falls. Obviously from a property rights perspective, you want to make sure that those are still protected, but at the end of the day you want that bill locked down so investors know exactly where they stand, what property they can invest in and what property is too dangerous to invest in. So yeah, let's get action. Let's see the president doing more than just talking.
Yeah, fantastic. Michael, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Everything from Eskom to SAA, right through to, I suppose, the land situation and scenario as well will be of massive question to President Cyril Ramaphosa as he delivers that State of the Nation address tomorrow. We will, of course, have that for you live here on SABC News and give you rolling coverage with our reporters out in Cape Town as well. The market sitting pretty this afternoon. Will it continue that way? Well, we'll find out a little bit later on. For now, though, that is where the buck stops, right here from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. We're back with my colleague Nzinga Kunta right